Our first episode of this beautiful anime's second season begins with this child, Lloyd, who has extraordinary abilities. Ren enters and tells him it's time for breakfast, but she only finds Grimo and the giant cat, Shiro. She looks left and right, wondering where Lloyd is, and finds a white spear next to her that says, "Good morning." Ren is startled and disappears into the large cat. Finally, Lloyd appears in his true form and asks her, "What do you think of this trick? I'm able to hide my presence well by suppressing my mana, which I learned before." She tells him, "Bravo, that was perfect for you. You know, it took me a whole year to do that. But you, mashallah, are something beyond imagination. You're amazing." "No, thank you. I know you're still shy and not used to working in this palace." She replies, "Unfortunately, no. 2 days are not enough for me to get used to it. It takes months. Miss Silpha taught me a lot, but she is very strict and wonderful. I learned etiquette, which is very difficult, but the food is delicious, and the beds are soft, too. I learned sleeping etiquette, but I will do my best to be the maid you can be proud of, Lloyd." He tells her, "Don't worry. You can be more spontaneous when no one else is here but us." At that moment, Silpha appears, tidies up the room, and gets angry at Ren, telling her, "You should arrange things properly." Ren apologizes, saying, "I'm very sorry." The scene then shifts outside, where Lloyd and Grimo are playing with a beautifully intricate spider web. He tells them that he is counting on them to restore and rebuild the city as required, as he doesn't want it to become ruins. He acknowledges that the repairs will take some time, but wants the work to be done well. At that moment, Babylon appears, and everyone welcomes him, as they haven't seen him in a long time. Grimo then speaks to them, saying, "If you want a god, I am a god." But they are bewildered by his foolish words and say, "What's wrong with you wretch? Maybe you're drinking something. There is only one god, and that is Allah. Don't say that again, or we won't let you near us." After that, they enter the temple and see from the outside that the place is very high. They haven't been here in 2 years. When Lloyd wipes a vase, it falls from his hand and breaks. He apologizes to Alizer for what happened. Alizer tells him it was an innocent mistake and not to worry, but when she looks closely, she sees that it is the decorated glass vase that her father loves very much. She collects the broken pieces and doesn't do anything to him. At that time, Ren comes to her and tells her that she shouldn't treat Lloyd like that. Alizer tells her that he is a good boy, as he loves magic to the point of losing interest in anything else, and is joining the church this time to learn all kinds of spells. She remembers what he did before, breaking many vases, but she never took any action against him, as he did all that to get her to kill him with a spell. But she would never do that. She tells him that this spell should only be used against real villains. However, she is very proud of him for wanting to be so disciplined. Then she suggests they sing together, but Lloyd leaves her to go. At that moment, a demonic-looking creature appears and tries to kill Lloyd and everyone else, but nothing happens to them. We then return to reality, where Alizer tells them that Lloyd later confessed to what he did and was expelled from the church because he had completely tampered with her father's belongings. People started calling him the devil's spawn, but she knows this can't be true and is sure that Lloyd is a good person. She then decides to invite Lloyd to join them, as he will be meeting the chant group during dinner. We then see Lloyd throwing the broken pieces in the trash. As he's throwing them out on the street, he finds these two guys arguing with a girl because she bumped into them while walking. They kept yelling at her. When Lloyd looked closely at her face, he saw that it was his sister, Sarai. The two men are still shouting at her, telling her that she will pay their friend's medical bill. Sarai ignores them and continues on her way. At that moment, Ren and her friends come out of the church and ask Lloyd if this is his sister. He tells them that she is his sister, the fourth princess of the kingdom of Saloum and a musical genius, an expert in all forms of musical instruments, but ignorant in anything other than music, which is somewhat exhausting. We return to Sarai, where the same person is still arguing with her about what she did, telling her that no one surpasses him when it comes to making ladies scream from his blows. Alizer runs up to him and punches him in the face, telling him that Sarai is her best friend and not a musical instrument, as he says. She is afraid that the chant performance won't happen today because Sarai is supposed to perform with her. At that moment, Grimo whispers in Lloyd's ear and asks him about the spells he knows. What if he uses a ritual instead of a mana sign? It heals everyone who listens to it. Lloyd thinks to himself that he can't let a chant like this be cancelled. At that time, Sarai says that as much as there are good notes, Alizer's crying now is a big negative. She doesn't want her to cry, but to sing, and the best way to get good music out of Alizer is her piano. Ren then uses her power to make them lose consciousness. Lloyd tells her that this is very good because she was able to avoid affecting them and only put the priest and the gang members to sleep. This is an application of mana suppression that the guild uses, where concentrating the mana opens a single hole to release it during a state of mana suppression. Not only is the pressure stronger, but it also makes targeting easier. In addition to that, Ren did exactly as he told her. She is able to turn her venom into a sleeping gas. Suddenly, the criminals wake up because Ren cannot produce poison at will yet. She was trying to make a dose sufficient to knock out an adult male. jail. But with stupid men like these, she sometimes needs a large dose. When the criminals hear her, they try to attack her because she caused them to be put to sleep, her friend. Babylon is forced to put them to sleep the hard way, but Lloyd refuses this because they might regain consciousness again and cause them a bigger problem. He then approaches them, using a one-step teleportation spell, and tells his friends that he doesn't know where they went, but they got rid of them quickly. After that, they all enter the church, and Lloyd tells them what he did. He meets his sister Sarai and tells her that he is happy to see her, but Sarai had almost forgotten his name. She only remembers those who have a connection to music. Alizer comes to them at that time and asks Lloyd if he would like to sing with them during the chant. Sarai refuses because he has not practiced enough, and she doesn't want him to spoil their performance with unplanned musical accompaniment. She then asks everyone to get ready to hear the chant. Indeed, Alizer begins to sing, and everyone is mesmerized by her voice, which seems like a rain of healing particles. Everyone is moved by her voice. At that moment, Lloyd tries to do something. He uses the teleportation spell to see what will happen, but he finds himself gone very far away, and it takes a long time. He has never teleported across this kind of distance before. All he did was track that mana-filled gaze and activate the Shadow Wolf, but he never expected this range. Lloyd and Grimo arrive at this place and continue to wander around to see what is happening. There, they met this beautiful girl. And so ends today's episode. If you liked the video, press the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all that is new. For those just joining us, a link to the thrilling first episode will be waiting for you in the first comment below. Our second chapter opens in the breathtaking, silent expanse of outer space. We find our hero, Lloyd, floating amidst the star-dusted void. It is here that he stumbles upon a magnificent and otherworldly being, with powerful, feathered wings and an ethereal glow. It could only be what legends describe as an angel. In a bold and unexpected move, Lloyd seizes the creature and, with a flick of his wrist, sends it tumbling through a cosmic cloud. Dazed and enraged, the winged being rights itself, its voice booming through the emptiness. What insolent fool dares to accost me in such a manner? But as its eyes focused, the fury turned to sheer astonishment. It was a mere mortal, a human. Impossible, the angel cried out. How did you reach this sacred domain? Countless barriers, impenetrable defenses were erected to keep your kind out. Explain yourselves. What sorcery or forbidden path brought you here? Lloyd, ever nonchalant, simply replied, I'm not entirely sure myself, but that's not important. What is important is whether you can teach me a few things. The angel scoffed, its pride wounded. Teach you? You audacious fool? You have trespassed, breaching the unbreachable, sneaking past the Iron Dome itself, only to arrogantly demand my tutelage? Truly, the ignorance of mortals knows no bounds. Very well. Allow me to demonstrate the full, terrifying extent of my power. I assure you, human, you will not be leaving this place alive. The being began to gather a fearsome energy, but Lloyd, ever prepared, instantly erected a formidable firewall, forged from a high-level ancient heritage. The scene then snaps back to Earth with jarring speed. Below, Lloyd's friends, particularly a worried Rin, are pacing with anxiety. What could have happened? Did Lloyd truly fly off somewhere into the vastness of space? They try to console one another, their words of reassurance barely hiding their fear. Even the wise Babylon attempts to calm the rising panic. Everyone, please stay calm, he urged. This is not the way. I will ascend myself and investigate the situation personally. We are then pulled back to the cosmic battlefield, where the duel between Lloyd and the winged warrior has erupted into a spectacular and furious confrontation. The combat was fierce. A whirlwind of energy and might. The celestial being unleashed a volley of 4 ethereal arrows, each one glowing with menacing power and streaking through the void like a destructive cruise missile. Yet Lloyd parried them with astonishing ease. The angel watched in disbelief. What is this incredible power? The way he materializes those defenses, he must be channeling an immense amount of mana to manifest so many swords for protection. In response, Lloyd answered not with words, but with action. He gathered his own energy and unleashed a counterattack so potent that the very fabric of the dimensional barrier around them began to crack under the strain. Then, employing an advanced and mysterious technique, Lloyd seemed to pull an object from his very mouth. My friend, he said, his voice echoing with finality, your time is up. He then unleashed his ultimate attack, the Shadow Wolf. A colossal beast of pure darkness and energy erupted into existence, so powerful it threatened to incinerate the entire sector of space, bathing everything in a hellish light. At the last possible second, the angel, perhaps miscalculating the sheer scale of the attack, managed to dodge and flee. From a safe distance, Grimm's voice crackled with excitement through a communication channel, cheering Lloyd on. Bravo, my prince. That move was beyond anyone's wildest expectations. Were you actually trying to finish him off for good? No, not quite, Lloyd replied, his power receding slightly. I will neutralize my strength as much as I can. He then unleashed another, more controlled, burst of fiery energy. Just then, Grimm's voice broadcasted across the area, addressing the celestial warrior directly. Oh, winged being, Prince Lloyd has no desire to kill you. He simply wishes for you to share your knowledge. You must surrender immediately. Ignoring the plea, the creature refused to yield. It gathered its remaining strength and launched a desperate surprise assault. However, it was a futile effort. Lloyd effortlessly activated another of his impenetrable defensive walls, and the angel's attack dissipated harmlessly against it. The winged being had exhausted its power, its celestial light beginning to fade. In the end, Lloyd stood victorious over the spatial warrior. But instead of delivering a final blow, he did something remarkable. He reached out and shared a portion of his own vast energy with his defeated foe, seeking to heal and stabilize him. It was an act of pure power transference, much like plugging a phone into a charger. Weakly, the angel looked up in utter confusion. What are you doing?" he whispered, bewildered. "Just let me perish. I tried to kill you. Why are you saving me?" Lloyd simply met his gaze, a universe of untold power and surprising compassion in his eyes, ready to provide the answer. Of course, here is the continuation of the story. Defeated angel looked up in bewilderment. "Just let me perish," he whispered. "I tried to kill you. Why are you saving me?" Lloyd simply smiled, his immense power now radiating a gentle warmth. "That doesn't matter," he replied. "I just believe in doing a good deed when I can." Stunned by this act of mercy, the celestial being relented. He agreed to teach Lloyd what he knew, but on one condition: a formal pact must be forged between them. "Hold out your hand," the angel commanded. As Lloyd extended his arm, the being's form dissolved into pure light and flowed into Lloyd's palm, merging with him. What his true intentions are, we cannot say for certain. Is he merely seeking a vessel to visit Earth to gather intelligence or to send a signal back to his home world? We, my friends, do not yet know the truth. Speaking to Lloyd now from within, his voice a thought in Lloyd's mind, the angel confirmed a bond. "I am with you now, active at your every whim. I am the eye in your hand. The very moment you think of me, I shall be there." But a sinister undercurrent lay beneath his words. In the privacy of his new form, the angel laughed to himself, his thoughts dripping with malice. "That utter fool, he has no idea what I have truly done to him, or the chaos I will soon unleash." Meanwhile, Grimm, observing the massive surge in Lloyd's aura, was awestruck. "With this new power," he murmured, "the prince could easily usurp the demon lord himself if he chose to." To test the limits of this new pact, they ascended even higher, to the very apex of this strange world, far above the tallest skyscrapers. Here, Lloyd decided to experiment with his newfound techniques, abilities that were terrifyingly powerful and shockingly modern. He called upon his new partner, and from his power, a monstrous creature began to manifest. A grotesque, gigantic, octopus-like beast of pure energy started to coalesce, its shadow falling over the entire landscape below. Panic erupted among Lloyd's companions. Grimm, more terrified than anyone, screamed into the communicator, "Lloyd, you must stop that specter immediately. It's going to destroy everything." "Relax, my friend," Lloyd's voice called back, a hint of strained effort in his tone. "I'm not finished yet. It's still under construction." The scene then cuts violently back to planet Earth. One of Lloyd's friends, looking up at the sky, is muttering to himself. "You can still hear the echoes of their battle from all the way up there," he mused. But this rolling thunder has no sense of etiquette. Just as he contemplated this, he felt a strange presence. A truly eccentric-looking man had appeared as if from nowhere. "You must be from the main church," the stranger said, his tone polite yet unsettling. "Perhaps it is time for you to return from whence you came. If you'd like, I can escort you." "Please, right this way." "All right, fine, I'll go," Lloyd's friend replied, unnerved. "But first, tell me who you are." "I am merely a guide," the man answered with a thin smile. "I guide those who, like you, have lost their way. I also work here, though my duties are of a confidential nature. I cannot speak of them. I have served in this place for many, many years." But friends, it was clear this was not the whole story. This bizarre man was hiding a great deal more than he let on. At that moment, Babylon and her companions arrived, and the reaction was immediate. Shiro, the great white wolf, began to growl, his hackles raised, deeply afraid of this peculiar stranger. His instincts were screaming that something was terribly wrong. Suddenly, a sonic boom ripped through the air. Lloyd arrived, streaking down from the heavens and landing on Earth with the speed of a rocket. He blazed past the eccentric man, and for a fleeting second, a tense, unspoken energy passed between them. Something, it seemed, was about to happen. For now, however, it was a time for celebration. Everyone gathered around Lloyd, congratulating him on his safe return. The air was filled with joy and relief. But Babylon, the sharp-witted, green-hailed girl, was already piecing things together. Her mind raced, connecting the dots. The strange man she met outside, his unsettling presence, Shiro's reaction. Could he be an assassin? Was he here to eliminate someone important like Lloyd? Or perhaps someone else entirely? The camera then shifts, focusing on the eccentric man, now standing alone. His face is twisted in a mask of pure fury, enraged that his cover may have already been blown. What is this man's story? What is his true, dark purpose? Follow us into the next episode to uncover the truth. But to do that, you'll have to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss a single thrilling update. The anime episode begins with Kubu teaching Lloyd and his friends different types of magic so they can use it. However, Kubu becomes very weary, unable to believe he has been forced to grant this sorcery to these fools. Lloyd tells him that his research into this magic will make greater progress with more users, so he should continue and devise a method for everyone, so they won't need him to perform the rituals. Kubu informs him that he made an exception for him, but he has only ever done that for one other person in history. Lloyd then asks if he can shrink down further, like Grimm, but Kubu gets angry, not wanting him to take on the hideous form of a Grimmade. Grimm mocks him, saying he can't even master the basics of transformation. Kubu yells back at him, and they continue to argue. Afterward, Lloyd sits with Grimm, who asks him if Isher's entire chant was also a magical spell. Lloyd replies that it was indeed a purification class magical spell that heals wounds and repels the undead, ethereals, and demons. At that moment, two people from Lordost see Lloyd and become very angry, recognizing him as the annoying child from the church whom they want to kill. However, Crow and Talia defend him and apologize to Lloyd, explaining that the people of Lordost are very troublesome. Fortunately, the hierarchy here is determined by who is strongest, which saves them a lot of trouble. At that point, the two individuals speak up, asking Talia and Crow why they are being so kind to this liar, and that if they don't do something, they will. As they were about to attack him, Lloyd uses his magic, and suddenly, they transform into people who love Lloyd dearly. They then apologize to him for what happened. Talia and Crow are astonished, wondering how the duo's personalities were completely nullified. This spell is not usually this effective, but Prince Lloyd's version is exceptional. The two individuals then tell Lloyd that they will apologize to the sister, as they know what they did was wrong. It is revealed that these two tried to do something to Isher and Princess Sariel. Ren and Babylon did not know these people at all. Ren lived in the castle, so it's natural she wouldn't know, and Babylon is secretive about matters concerning the island's citizens. The scene then shifts to Babylon, who we see sitting with all the maids eating with them because Lloyd asked him to take over matters in the castle in his place. At night, Lloyd returns to the palace, where all the servants welcome him. Kubu is surprised, not realizing Lloyd was so popular. He sees this as the life of a prince living in bliss, and decides he made the right choice and wants to stay with him in the palace. At that moment, the doll that Lloyd made, which looks exactly like him, comes out of its place. It is capable of handling simple matters automatically. After that, Lloyd sits with Grimm and Kubu, telling them that undead ghouls are the perfect material if they want to apply the magical sorcery. Grimm asks him if there are many ghouls there. Lloyd replies that he actually obtained some information during their trip to Lordost, which is, at that moment, Silpha comes to Lloyd. He tells her that if she has nothing else to do, she should join them in hunting ghouls. Silpha agrees immediately, and teleports with him and Ren. On their way, they are amazed by everything around them, seeing the Great Bridge of Dion, a major traffic hub connecting the city's east and west. Despite this, it's hard to believe that ghouls are lurking in such a prosperous part of town. Silpha says the Adventurers Guild has received the highest number of sighting reports in this area. Lloyd asks her if their lair can be tracked by scent alone, but Silpha replies that since they smell like rotting flesh, it's difficult to distinguish their scent from regular food waste in populated areas. Lloyd thinks to himself that his spectral detection won't be useful due to the large crowds. Just then, Isher and Sariel arrive. Lloyd asks what brought them to town, and they reply that they decided to have delicious pancakes for lunch. Lloyd agrees and asks to join them. Inside the restaurant, Lloyd is very excited to eat the pancakes, marveling at their fluffy, airy texture topped with a perfect combination of honey syrup and rich butter. Sariel tells him that if it's his first time eating pancakes, he should try them plain. At that moment, their food is served, and everyone is impressed by the delicious taste. Silpha and Ren decide they should serve them at the castle. Afterward, Isher asks what they were doing in town. They reply that they came to hunt ghouls. Sariel responds that many people have sought refuge at the church after being attacked by ghouls, with most sightings centered around the Great Bridge of Dion, the large northern cemetery, and the southern alleys. She adds that some adventurers sent to handle the situation have also gone missing. However, her main concern is that her performance isn't canceled. Ran asks if they will be performing again, and Isher replies that this time will be much better, as they will be singing at the Great Advent Festival, with both the king and the pope in attendance. She invites them to join. They agree to join, but only after they get rid of the ghouls. Ren is particularly motivated to eliminate the ghouls quickly so she can return to this town, which she has grown to love and wants to protect. At this point, Lloyd speaks up about the ghouls' lair, stating they have significantly narrowed down the targets. It seems the Great Bridge of Dion is the most likely spot. While Ren finds it hard to imagine a ghoul lair in such a place, Lloyd points to its location, under the bridge, at the entrance to the sewers. They all enter and find the smell is terrible. It's certain something is decaying deep inside, and they must investigate. However, Lloyd is worried about something he heard regarding the missing adventurers. Silpha asks if he knew any of them. He reveals that the reason he knew about the ghouls in the first place is that one of the missing adventurers had attended their party. He worries she might have gone ahead of them as part of a job. Just then, Tao appears, running at full speed and hugging Lloyd, telling him she was very worried about him. Silpha promptly hits her on the head. Silpha then speaks to them, saying, "Prince Lloyd is undertaking this ghoul hunt to test his sorcery. You are just an addition." She says to Tao, "You came out of the sewers, so is this the ghoul lair?" Tao replies, "That's what I thought, but I couldn't find anything. It was filthy and smelled awful, and I got lost. It took sensing your presence to find my way out of that maze. It's not a suitable environment to focus on converting ki. I was going back to my inn. I dropped many things, like my torch. Lloyd speaks up. No, that won't be a problem. Purification class sorcery. Helios. Afterward, they walk on. Tao remarks that she doesn't need a torch now. Lloyd tells her that's because Helios is a purifier that can do other things. Everyone is astonished by the cleanliness of the place. The water is clear and the air is as fresh as a windswept plain. Tao rejoices, saying, with clean air, I can fill my lungs and properly convert my ki. This whole area seems suspicious. We will drive out the ghouls. Shiro goes ahead, and Lloyd tells him to be careful. He explains that once Shiro leaves the area of the spell, it will be hit with a foul smell, and its sense of smell will be overwhelmed. He thinks it might take some time, and decides to use spectral detection to scan the area as well. Silpha then asks, why didn't you have me bring Demon's Bane? She adds, because I prefer to keep it clean, and since you asked me to accompany you, I'm sure you have something else you want me to carry. Tao chimes in, I think this might be the perfect opportunity to see who is stronger. What do you think about settling this with a little game? Silpha objects. As stated before, this mission is for Lloyd to test his sorcery. We won't have time for that. Tao counters, it's an all-day one-on-one date with Lloyd. If we're helping you with your experiment, the least we can expect is a reward. Suddenly, many ghouls appear. Everyone prepares and uses their powers. Tao declares, whoever defeats the most ghouls gets a date with Lloyd. She attacks them, taking out most of them in no time. Then, Silpha charges at them with her sword, also defeating many. They attack the ghouls together. Ren attacks a ghoul, but her sword shatters. Lloyd instantly creates another sword for her. Ren notes that it looks the same as the last one, but when she strikes a monster, it completely disintegrates. Grimm explains that the sword isn't poisonous, but the sorcery imbued in it is especially effective against ghouls. Even a scratch will cause the purification effect to spread like poison. He muses that the divine sorcery was originally created by the king to fight demons, and was so effective that they never needed to improve it further. But now that the brat, Lloyd, has it, the sorcery is evolving as if to make up for lost time, and he has the best assistance you could dream of. They continue their assault on the ghouls, wiping them out. Silpha gets angry with Lloyd, yelling, this sword swings strangely. Lloyd tells her, I added some water properties to it. It won't break now. They resume their attack on the remaining ghouls, competing to see who can defeat the most to win the prize with Lloyd. Suddenly, a strange monster appears and strikes them all down, saying, civil war keeps the intruders below busy at this moment. After that, the scene shifts to an old man who says, it seems it's best if I enhance the security here. The acolyte's body will grant you freedom of movement throughout the church. This is how today's episode of this anime ends. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all that is new. A new chapter begins with breathtaking intensity. The dust of a ferocious battle begins to settle, the air thick with the scent of ozone and spent mana. It was a conflict of overwhelming force. Surveying the scene, Sylvia's voice cuts through the tension. Does anyone know what just happened to us? What was that? Tao, ever the pragmatist, retorts, if you're thinking we were all taken down in a single coordinated strike, you're overestimating them. It's likely more complicated than that. Suddenly, something strange occurs. A shimmering, ethereal thread seems to emerge from Tao herself, triggering a jolt of memory. Her eyes widen in horror. Wait, that's impossible, she gasps. I think I remember something. Driven by this sudden, terrifying recollection, she lunges towards a shadowy figure, but her attack is utterly useless against it. The threat they face is not just dangerous, it's a nightmare, far worse than they could have imagined. This being possesses a truly monstrous power. The creature brandishes a massive sword and unleashes a devastating strike, aiming to annihilate Lloyd and his companions in a single blow. Yet, with almost casual ease, Lloyd raises his own weapon and parries the attack perfectly, the impact sending shockwaves through the air but leaving him unmoved. With the immediate threat held at bay, Lloyd's analytical mind goes to work. He examines the creature and its attack, his focus narrowing on a peculiar detail. It contains a flexible, spinal thread, he observes, a material he has never encountered before. Hearing this, Tao's face pales as the pieces click into place. This has to be related to the legend of the man with the aberrant neuron, she begins, her voice grave as she recounts the chilling story. He was born in a small, isolated province. His body was a biological anomaly. It produced a seemingly infinite number of spinal threads composed entirely of raw mana. When these threads made contact with another person's extremities, they would bypass conscious control and directly stimulate their motor nerves, hijacking the brain's commands and forcing the body into violent, erratic movements. Furthermore, the dense web of these spinal threads, wrapped around his own skin, was imbued with a powerful signal, creating a perfect counterattack system. It meant he could move and react with blinding speed, literally faster than thought itself, acting on pure reflex. Was deployed as a biological weapon in a brutal civil war that had torn his country apart. He couldn't control his power any more than we can, but his mere presence completely shattered the balance of power on the battlefield. He became an unstoppable force of nature, tearing apart anyone he came into contact with, whether they were friend or foe. It was as if his consciousness had been erased, leaving only a robotic, killing machine. Even after taking a fatal blow, a sword straight through the heart, his body continued to fight, operating purely on a cascade of automatic deadly reflexes. Having become completely invincible, His own side was forced to take a drastic measure. They triggered a massive landslide, burying him under a collapsing cliff and plunging his body into the depths of the sea. But as his body sank beneath the raging waves, it was said he never stopped struggling, fighting all the way down. Back in the present, the group processes the horrifying implications. "You're right, that could explain this," one of them says. "But the legend says he died, that he drowned in the ocean," another adds. "But if what Tao said is true, it means that even after death, his body has continued to move on pure reflex all this time. I can't think of anything more disturbing." Lloyd's mind races, piecing together the puzzle. So, did the body that was swept away by the currents eventually wash ashore and become a ghoul? But that doesn't quite fit. I've never heard of a ghoul that retains the specific, complex abilities of its former life. I don't know how to analyze this yet, but we have no time to stand around wondering. It's coming for us. As if on cue, the creature explodes into action. The air is suddenly filled with its filaments, which crisscross the battlefield like a deadly web of laser beams, each one sharp enough to slice them into pieces. Meanwhile, in another location, a cloaked man stands with a nun. "What are you doing?" she asks, her voice trembling. "Be silent," he commands coldly. At that moment, a small, imp-like creature, a genie or familiar, materializes at his shoulder. "My lord," it whispers with glee, "if I must possess a body, I would much prefer a beautiful vessel, like that alluring and fascinating woman." The man replies with a cruel smile. "Very well, enter her." But just as the familiar is about to strike, a flash of steel interrupts the scene. One of the heroes from Lloyd's group appears, expertly intervening and saving the nun from her grim fate. The stakes have just been raised, and the situation has become dramatically more intense. The scene snaps back to Lloyd and his team, who are masterfully dodging the web of spinal threads. After successfully navigating the deadly barrage, they press their advantage and attack with a sword. The creature, however, proves astonishingly adept, catching the sharp blade between its bare hands. With the creature's hands now occupied, one of the female members of the party sees a critical opening. Seizing the opportunity, she quickly casts a spell or uses an ability to incapacitate it. The creature is struck by the debilitating effect, its body falling to the ground and beginning to convulse violently. Lloyd analyzes the result in an instant, a look of understanding dawning on his face. "So that's it," he declares. "If you paralyze its physical body, the connection to the mana-based spinal threads is severed. It loses all control over them." Ren, her face a mask of blood from the prior exchange, pushes herself forward. "Let's go, finish him," she yells to the others. "This paralysis won't last forever." The creature, though immobilized, still possesses immense power in its legs. But stranger still, it demonstrates a terrifying new ability. It can consolidate its spinal threads, honing them into serrated, saw-like whips. Reacting quickly, Sylphie unleashes her signature technique, the Lion's Roar, launching a powerful kick that sends a shockwave through the area, devastating the ground around the monster. For a moment, they believe they have defeated it. As they pause to catch their breath, it becomes clear that their opponent has complete and utter control over its power, a fact that makes this situation far more dangerous than they initially thought, and indeed their fears were justified. The monster is not only still alive, but is now attempting to flee, having failed to intercept them. As it escapes, it muses to itself in a low growl. "What should I do now? Should I go and enjoy myself on the surface? The day my master awaits is drawing near. Until then, we've been playing a suspended game, one where we could die at any moment. But perhaps we will meet again, you heroes. When that time comes, I will utterly destroy you." But its escape is cut short. The heroes pursue it, and Lloyd, employing a swift weapon technique, severs the monster's leg with a clean strike. The creature collapses, crying out not just in pain, but in a flood of resurfaced memories. It remembers a past filled with relentless, merciless cruelty, being beaten without pity or compassion. That's why, its memory screams, "I decided to let a djinn enter my body to become strong. I met an inventor who promised to transform me into a true hero, and the transformation was real. This body is now yours," his master had told him. When he asked what his master wanted in return, the man had laughed. "Use it as you wish. I want nothing from you." And so he decided he would use this newfound power to take revenge on the thugs who had tormented him. Back in the present, Lloyd's expression has shifted. He has uncovered the secret, the truth behind the threads and the pain that drives them. Enraged that his past has been exposed, the monster lunges, trying to eliminate Lloyd once and for all. But Lloyd calmly erects a protective barrier and watches the attack, a look of profound understanding on his face. He neutralizes the attack's effect and then does the unexpected. He tries to talk to him. "What is your golem's mechanism? How are you able to speak?" Lloyd asks, his tone not of a warrior, but of a curious and compassionate peer. He speaks with such genuine ease and acceptance that the monster, overwhelmed by being seen as a person for the first time, begins to weep with tears of joy. But this moment of connection is tragically brief. His master, the true puppeteer, activates a remote command. The monster's body begins to glow violently as it's turned into a living bomb. Lloyd may yet be able to do something, but time is running out. The scene then shifts violently to Babylon, the churchman who was controlling the monster. The situation here has become even more perilous. A major battle is about to erupt, as Babylon's colleague, the other churchman, transforms into a true, hideous monster. The new beast immediately lashes out, delivering a devastating death kick that sends Babylon flying through the air. As he soars, Babylon remembers a conversation. His superior had warned him, I want you to stay in the church. Speaking of that other man, his business is dangerous. We know nothing about him, but he could be a sorcerer. He had been told to take charge of the place while his superior was away. Crashing back to reality, Babylon thinks, I don't know why, but I had a strange, uneasy feeling about that man from the moment I met him, and now I know I was right. The man is not just strong, he is bloodthirsty and is undoubtedly trying to kill him. The beast attacks with razor-sharp, scissor-like appendages, but Babylon proves to be incredibly fast, his mind racing to find a way to survive. He unleashes a powerful holy spell, an incantation for a glowing, purifying release. The brilliant, cleansing light of the spell holds the monster at bay for more than 10 minutes, a testament to Babylon's power. But the ending is a shock. With a final, desperate burst of strength, the other man uses his greatest weapon. Vicious claws extend and plunge deep into Babylon's abdomen. Blood erupts from the wound. It is a sad, brutal ending. What will happen in the days to come? The battle had reached a fever pitch. With a final, devastating blow, the master sent Babylon hurtling through the air. The boy's body slammed into the far wall with a sickening crack, sliding down to the cold stone floor in a crumpled heap. The master stood, panting slightly, a cruel smirk gracing his features. He lamented aloud, his voice dripping with condescending disappointment. And here I thought you might offer a real challenge. It seems my enemy has nothing special to show after all. He turned his back, a fatal mistake. You're wrong. A voice rasped from behind him. The master spun around, his eyes wide with disbelief. Babylon was standing right there, dusting off his clothes as if he'd merely tripped. You hit the wrong target with your last attack. The master was momentarily speechless. How? I saw you. The impact. A wry grin touched Babylon's lips. Let me explain a little more about my special ability, he said, his voice gaining strength. It makes my body extremely flexible. I'm capable of twisting and contorting any part of my body far beyond the limits of a normal person. He demonstrated by rotating his shoulder a full 360 degrees with a casual pop. In the case of your grand finale, I simply used that ability to twist my entire torso, shifting my vital organs just out of the path of the fatal impact. It hurt like hell, but it kept me in the fight. Before the master could fully process this revelation, Babylon's demeanor shifted. Now, it's my turn. He activated another ability, a bone-strengthening technique that caused a visible ripple to pass through his frame. His muscles swelled, and his posture radiated a newfound power. With a roar, he launched himself forward. The master, caught off guard, could only note how dangerously powerful the boy had suddenly become. Babylon's fist connected with a force that sent shockwaves through the master's body, forcing him back several steps. Even though he had successfully landed a powerful blow, Babylon felt a pang of dissatisfaction. A single hit wasn't enough. This still isn't it, he growled, more to himself than to his enemy. I need to attack you with everything I have. With that declaration, he unleashed a torrential onslaught. A flurry of punches and kicks, each enhanced with his bone-strengthening power, rained down upon the master, completely cornering him. The air cracked with the sound of his blows. During this relentless sequence, a wave of nausea washed over Babylon. His vision swam, and he felt as if he were about to vomit his guts out. His internal energy, his mana, was plummeting dangerously low. His arms grew heavy, numb from the exertion, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. The image of Ichir was burned into his mind. His sole objective was to buy her enough time. Time for her to escape with her guardian and find a safe place far away from this monster. But in his desperate, single-minded assault, he overextended. Seizing the momentary opening, the master retaliated. Vicious claws, sharp as razors, erupted from his back and lashed out, stinging Babylon across the chest. The force of the blow threw him backward, and he crashed against the wall once more, this time falling to his knees, blood seeping from the fresh wounds. The master approached slowly, his form shifting subtly, becoming more monstrous. I understand now, he said, his voice a low hiss. I understand that desperate feeling. His eyes scanned Babylon's broken form, a look of greedy appraisal in them. Your body, that unique flexibility, that raw power, it would make a good host. A very good host indeed. He raised a clawed hand. I'll kill you now and take possession of it. Meanwhile, far from the battle, Katerina was tending to a group of adventurers who had taken shelter from the torrential downpour in the guild hall. The air was thick with the smell of wet cloaks and damp earth. Honestly, she complained, no one in particular, the guild isn't a public shelter. We have work to do. Her grumbling was cut short as the heavy oak door creaked open again, admitting another soaked figure. Great, another one just looking to get out of the rain, she muttered under her breath. But as the person stepped into the light, she recognized her. Ecker! Katerina rushed over, her earlier annoyance replaced by concern. Ecker was pale, trembling, and her eyes were wide with a terror that went beyond a simple fear of the storm. What happened? You look terrified. Before Ecker could form a reply, two burly adventurers who had been listening nearby stepped forward. Is there trouble, miss? One of them asked, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. Whatever you need, we're here to help. For a fleeting moment, relief washed over Ecker. She saw the strength in these men, the support in Katerina's eyes. But then, the master's terrifying face flashed in her memory, his threat echoing in her ears. Fear, cold and paralyzing, coiled in her stomach. She couldn't endanger these people. They had no idea what they would be facing. She forced a weak, unconvincing smile. Thank you, everyone. It's nothing. My guardian, he merely slipped in the rain. He'll be fine. She left her guardian resting on a bench in the guild, promising to return, and then rushed back out into the storm. The moment the guild door closed behind her, a wave of self-loathing hit her. She felt stupid, cowardly. Why didn't I ask for their help? They seemed strong enough. But as she ran, the memory of the master's inhuman power and a face that was a mask of pure evil resurfaced. She felt sick to her stomach and realized with chilling certainty that she had made the right choice. Involving those well-meaning adventurers would have been a death sentence for them. They would have been slaughtered. Her thoughts returned to Babylon, fighting alone. I have to think of something. I have to save him, and soon. If I don't, he'll die at the hands of that monster. As she ran blindly through the rain-slicked streets, Etcher belittled herself again, her mind a whirlwind of despair. My only skill is singing. What good is a song against a creature like that? Tears mixed with the rain on her cheeks. She cried out in desperation, her voice lost in the storm, wishing for any help. Any miracle. As she despaired, a cruel memory surfaced, her sister's sharp, belittling voice, questioning her motives for joining the order. You, a woman of virtue? You're not worthy of such a position, Ichia. You're too weak. Lost in the painful memory and the blinding rain, she lost her footing and fell, landing hard in a large puddle of cold water. Just as she was about to be completely submerged, a strong hand caught her arm, pulling her up. She looked up into the calm, familiar face of Lloyd. This heavy rain started just as I was on my way to the guild, he said, his voice a steady anchor in her storm of panic. He held his umbrella over her, sheltering her from the downpour. I'll take you back to the sanctuary. Seeing him there, a sudden, desperate hope ignited in her chest. She ignored everything he had just said, grabbing onto his sleeve. Lloyd, you have to help. Please, hurry and save Babylon. The words tumbled out before she could stop them, but just as quickly as the hope appeared, the fear returned. She came to her senses, realizing what she was asking. She would be sending Lloyd to his death. She quickly tried to backtrack, forcing a frantic, unconvincing laugh. Never mind. Forget I said anything. It was just a silly thought. Please, just forget it. Babylon found himself in an unfamiliar, stark white room. The space was infinite, without walls or a ceiling, just endless, sterile white. So this is it, he thought with a strange sense of calm. My life has never been the best, so I don't really mind ending up like this. A sense of peace settled over him. He believed he had done his part. He had ensured Ecker's safety. That was all that mattered. Realizing he was in a different place, a sort of afterlife perhaps, his more practical needs took over. Hello? He called out into the void. Is there anything to drink around here? Just then, a presence pulled him. Not physically, but as if his very consciousness was being tugged through the white expanse. He found himself in another place, a beautiful, ethereal garden where a girl was singing. Her melodies were hauntingly beautiful, weaving through the air like silk, filling the space with a sense of profound peace and healing. Hearing her sing, Babylon forgot all about his thirst. He simply existed in the sound. Then, suddenly, the song faded, and he woke with a gasp. He was in a real room, and the girl from his vision was there, looking down at him with concern. He was surrounded by familiar faces, Tao, Galilea, and Lloyd. They quickly gave him a recap of everything that had happened during the 3 days he had been unconscious. After Ecker had found Lloyd, Lloyd had used his teleportation ability to retrieve Babylon's near-dead body from the battle, and had taken him directly to Lordos to receive the best possible medical treatment. For 3 long days, he had lain there, unresponsive. Now that you're no longer a concern, Tao said with his usual gruffness, I can focus solely on protecting the sanctuary from another potential invasion, Lloyd added. I took Ecker and her guardian to Lordos as well. I believe they would be the 2 main targets of any further attacks on the Order. Having heard the summary, Babylon finally grasped his current situation. And what about you, Lloyd? He asked. Galilea let out a sharp laugh. You're lucky you woke up when you did, Babylon. Lloyd was just about to use you as a guinea pig in a forced awakening experiment he concocted. Lloyd looked away with a flicker of disappointment, but quickly masked it with a relieved smile. I'm just glad you've woken up on your own, he said smoothly. Babylon, ever nonchalant, mused, maybe I woke up faster because you compressed my organs with my own flexibility power to get me here. You idiot, Talia, who had been quietly tending to some medical instruments, snapped. You almost died. Lloyd and Jirel had to cast healing magic on you for over 10 hours straight, and you still hadn't woken up. The gravity of his situation finally sank in. Babylon looked at the exhausted faces around him and felt a deep sense of gratitude. Thank you, everyone. I owe you my life. You should only be thanking Ecker and Jade, Lloyd corrected him gently. Ecker was by your side, purifying you with her energy non-stop until she finally saw you regain consciousness. She did all of that without me even having to ask. He paused, adding with a touch of pride. However, let's be clear. If it weren't for my teleportation power, you would have died anyway. With the pleasantries over, Lloyd's expression turned serious. Now, I need you to tell us everything. I need to understand what happened at the sanctuary. Babylon recounted the battle, describing the Master's monstrous transformation and his abilities. And he could wield the power of light, like Luxa, he finished. At this, Jirel, who had been silent until now, became visibly irritated. That's impossible. The idea that a powerful being like our patron Jaya would grant purifying magic to such a monstrous creature is blasphemy. But it's true, Babylon insisted. I fired several purifying blows at the monster. I hit him dead on, but in the end, I saw no sign that my attacks were having any real effect. Lloyd listened intently, his brow furrowed in thought. That's a key piece of information, he said. Purifying blows only affect those with guilty consciences. Since this enemy suffered no harm, it means one of two things. Either he feels absolutely no guilt for his actions and genuinely believes he is acting correctly, or he possesses some powerful, overriding belief that your purification energy simply can't penetrate. He stroked his chin. Regardless of which option is correct, this enemy is going to be a lot of trouble. Another day, after Lloyd heard the Guardian's version of the attack, his deductions became clearer. The Master wanted to possess Etcher for her unique abilities, and her Guardian to gain an established position, more eyes and ears, within the Order. However, the being's ultimate purpose is still a mystery. He turned to Babylon. You said you encountered him in the Inner Garden? Babylon nodded. Then that is our starting point. The Inner Garden is now a highly suspicious location. As they headed there, Tao asked Lloyd, what did Katarina say when she heard about all this? Before Lloyd could answer, they were interrupted by Katarina herself, who stormed towards them, complaining loudly about her work at the Adventurers Guild. Tao asked what had happened. Katarina took a deep breath. After hearing Tao's report, I went straight to the Order's headquarters. I gave them the sketch of the man who attacked Babylon, and informed them of all the details, including that he used a powerful light-based sacred magic during the combat. Her face soured. As soon as they heard that, the other officials became irritated. They refused to believe it. There is no way such a monster could be one of us, the Order's most devoted servants, they said. She scoffed. They dismissed my report as malicious rumors. One of them even had the audacity to ask who was responsible for spreading this story. A servant showed them the image of the governor of Lordost, and they immediately scoffed that he's just a bandit with no credibility. She threw her hands up in frustration. Their arrogance is unbelievable. Back in the Inner Garden, Lloyd was undeterred. Continue digging, he ordered the brothers who were assisting him. Break up the entire garden floor if you have to. Meanwhile, Saria finally found Ecker. She playfully poked her in the side. There you are. We were worried when you disappeared. Will you still be able to perform at the recital? Babylon stepped in before Ecker could answer. Saria. Ecker was attacked by a very powerful man and might be targeted again. I believe the recital should be canceled for her safety. Just then, a shout came from the garden. Master Lloyd, we've found something. It was Sela. They had uncovered something suspicious beneath the flagstones, a secret staircase leading down into darkness. Lloyd knelt to examine it. The door is made of a material that blocks both mana and ki. It's designed for concealment. There was something like this beneath the sanctuary all along? Ecker was outraged at the deception. Asha, you should stay here while we check what's in this basement, Babylon said protectively. No, she replied, her voice firm, her earlier fear replaced by a steely resolve. I'm coming with you. They descended the stairs into the oppressive darkness. The air grew cold and stale, carrying a faint, metallic odor. At the bottom, they found a horrifying scene. Cages lined the walls of a vast, hidden laboratory, and inside those cages were the grotesque results of horrific experiments on living beings. It was a secret, hellish place of suffering, hidden directly beneath the sanctuary they called home. This anime episode opens with Babylon lying unconscious in his bed after being injured. His friends stand by his side, deeply saddened. Isher enters and asks them to let her treat Babylon, offering to use a specific type of sorcery on him. No one responds. Talia then approaches Isher to strike her, but her friend calms her down. After a few seconds of silence, Talia tells her that they were informed Babylon was attacked by someone in a priest's attire, and they can no longer trust anyone from the church. She then leaves. Afterward, Lloyd and his friends embark on a new and very dangerous mission. They discover a laboratory beneath the church. Upon entering, they find it filled with many corpses and monsters. Everyone is shocked by what they see. Sylvia examines the place closely and realizes they can hear what is happening in the church above with perfect clarity. At that moment, they overhear a conversation about the priest being extremely strict with the church's security and his fondness for hearing Isher sing. They believe this must be his hideout, but it seems he isn't there. They are unsure if he will return, especially after the commotion they caused upstairs, but they are certain this place will be discovered. As they explore the lab, they find that a corpse before them has been stitched together just like the ghouls they fought in the sewers. They understand then that what happened in the sewers was part of this, but they don't know what he was doing down here. Lloyd tells them that this place is more like an alchemy lab than a sorcery lab. Living cells were harvested, and entire limbs were grown before being attached. It seems this person's attempts to merge specters with humans were part of research into synthesis. Ishir is increasingly shocked to hear all of this, as it was all happening right under the church without her knowledge. This leads them to suspect they weren't fighting real ghouls, but rather chimeras, creatures merged from different sources. The real question is what his intention was for the chimeras he was producing. Whatever his goal, what he is doing is vile and completely lacks a moral compass. This suggests he has likely modified his own body extensively. Lloyd wants to see his body, betting that it is the pinnacle of all his research. Sylvia instructs them to destroy the lab after a thorough search and then report all the details to Prince Albert. She then turns her words to Lloyd, telling him she is surprised by his extensive knowledge of alchemy. Lloyd gets nervous and tells her he only read about it once. Suddenly, their friend Lamia appears before them, but in a different form. Her body has been placed within the body of a monster. Lloyd and his friends combine their power to use an air class spell, Galilea assists them with a spider cocoon spell. Crow and Ren then help them, with Ren creating a magical barrier between them and the creature, astonishing everyone with her ability to use such a technique. Crow then forces Lamia to submit and surrender. They tie her up and, upon looking at her carefully, find that she is an ordinary human who was not grown here. They realize then that synthesis experiments were performed on living humans. Everyone is shocked and deeply saddened, unsure of what they can do to save this girl. At that moment, Isher approaches Lamia's face with a smile, reassuring her and telling her that they are all here to help. Lamia strikes her across the face with a powerful blow. However, Isher does not blame her for what she did. It's natural for her to be terrified, as she had been trembling with fear the whole time. Suddenly, everyone hears the playing of a hymn filled with incantations. The music helps Lamia remember her life. She begins to cry, apologizing to Isher and telling them that she is human. She hugs Isher, still weeping. Isher cries with her, feeling guilty for not having noticed her absence all that time. The next morning, Prince Albert comes to see the laboratory under the church. He tells Lloyd and the others that he wanted to catch the culprit as soon as possible, but they hadn't provided him with enough information to do so. We then see Lloyd talking with Lamia, explaining that she has amnesia, severe enough to make her forget even her own name, a side effect of the chimera conversion experiments. But he has an idea. He knows she was an adventurer, and since Isher can use sorcery, it's possible she can help her. Lamia becomes very sad because she doesn't know her own identity, and with her body in its current state, living a normal life seems highly unlikely. Galilea reassures her, telling her he is from Lordost Island, a place where people like her can live happily, and that they will help her in every way. After that, Lamia takes out a rosary and tells them she found it in the lab, hoping it might help them. When Lloyd sees it, he recognizes it as a very old rosary and thinks it might belong to the person they've called the mysterious priest. However, Lamia's memories are too foggy, so no one knows much about what happened in the lab. Lloyd then reveals all the research notes from the laboratory, which he stole when he heard the lab was about to be destroyed. He explains that the data in these notes is the only lead they have to return Lamia to being fully human again. Lloyd explains that her body functions thanks to a mix of mana signals so complex that even he can't understand it immediately. She is the only one capable of studying this data, comparing it to her own condition, and figuring out how to return her body to normal. The choice is hers. Face her psychological trauma head-on, or give up and forget the whole thing. Motivated, Lamia thanks him profusely and promises she will do everything she can to get her normal life back. Everyone encourages her, telling her they will provide as much help as they can. At the same time, they decide to give her a name. Lloyd calls her Lami. At that moment, Isher leaves them and runs to the castle to look for Saria. She doesn't know if Saria has returned to the castle yet and is very worried about her. When she reaches her room, she finds her with Talia and Babylon, eating sweets that Babylon made for them as a break from his chanting practice. Isher asks Saria to sing with her so they can put on a grand performance for the Great Advent Festival. The scene then shifts to Lloyd and his brother Albert. Albert tells Lloyd that the Advent Festival must be canceled. Everyone who hears this gets angry, as they cannot cancel it no matter what. They had been planning to do all sorts of things at the festival. Afterward, Sylvia talks with the girls about the rosary Lami found. If it really belongs to the mysterious priest, then things are even worse than they imagined. Isher tells her that she also has a silver rosary, similar to Babylon's. At that moment, Sylvia notes that most rosaries are made of silver, but the one they found is made of pure gold. A priest speaks up and tells them that a golden rosary has only ever been carried by 12 people, the Pope and the 12 bishops who oversee the central church. Ren understands this to mean that one of the 12 bishops is the villain. The priest disagrees, arguing that these men are wonderfully pious and it's impossible for them to do something like this. Sylvia thinks for a moment. According to Babylon's description, the mysterious man can change his appearance freely. However, they also consider the possibility that the rosary was stolen from one of the bishops, because it seems impossible that a bishop could be the one who did this. Afterward, Babylon thinks to himself, remembering Kobu, who didn't need any ritual to use sorcery because he had a license for it. Usually, this kind of sorcery requires a specific ritual, like Isher's singing or dancing, which makes it one of the most difficult types of magic to perform. This now proves that possessing a license makes ritual less sorcery possible, and no one can do that except the 12 bishops. Therefore, one of them must be the one who owns that rosary. The scene shifts to Grimm and his friend talking about what is happening. His friend tells him that access to a license is granted only to the Pope, and that the other 11 individuals are people the Pope trusts, similar to the relationship between Lloyd and the people of Lordost Island. Prince Albert then speaks, saying that given the Church's complete rejection of Babylon's testimony, He doubts they will agree to cancel the Advent Festival, no matter how they try to persuade them. More importantly, if the enemy has truly infiltrated the central church, His Holiness's life will remain in danger, regardless of any cancellation. What makes matters worse is that there is little time before the festival begins. Sylvia replies that if the mysterious priest is among those 11 people, they will have to isolate the Pope from his retinue on the fated day, watching them closely under the pretext of providing protection. This should at least allow them to prevent the Pope's assassination on the day of the Great Advent Festival. This is the only option they have. Prince Albert decides to do what he can, but given the circumstances, they cannot turn to the Adventurers Guild. The people present here are the only ones he can truly trust. He then asks everyone to watch for anything suspicious from the bishops and to use their judgment in trying to secure them. He wants to ensure that the Great Advent Festival ends safely. We then see a young nun running. She is stopped by Bishop Anastasia, who asks her about the letter she is carrying. The nun informs her that it is a message from Prince Albert. The bishop asks her to read it, but the nun refuses, as the prince ordered her to deliver it directly to the Pope. Bishop Anastasia forcibly takes it from her. She then descends to the laboratory beneath the church and meets the same man Babylon spoke to. She tells him about the letter sent from the prince to the Pope, in which he requests to inspect the church facilities with the Pope and the bishops as a separate group. The man understands that the prince got this information from the artificial Lamia. Bishop Anastasia continues, saying it is likely that the underground facility has been destroyed by Prince Albert, but based on the letter's contents, it seems he doesn't know much about these facilities. The man replies that nothing is left from the Civil War, and that, in any case, whatever the second prince prepares at this stage, he poses no threat. If he thinks that closing a mere branch laboratory could hinder him even slightly, he has no idea what is truly being planned. No one can stop them at this stage. And now, the curtain will rise on the great festival. And so, today's episode ends. Our episode today begins with our great group on a new, intensely cold day. As winter bears down on them, they were meeting the 12 mad bishops. Pope Gaetan told them, "It is a new day. Let us ensure the success of this festival, but we must be cautious. Each team or group will search the church, while members of our team serve as your guards." This angered the short, bald bishop named Ganmo, who said, wait a minute. Why are we being separated like this?" He was told, "This is part of Prince Albert's plan to defend us. We believe that to ensure everyone's safety, we must separate you from one another, so that if they assassinate one person, they don't get the rest. But this isn't the truth. You will know everything soon. I will tell you the truth now. They are doing this to watch the monster that hides among them. But rest assured, we will do the impossible to keep you safe. We will now escort you to your designated locations to search. Please, get in the cars." First, the High Pope gets in. As for Bishop Anastasia, Sylvia informed her that she would be her escort. Then, a young yellow-haired boy, Bishop Bates, appears and says, "I don't like this system. I don't need a guard. If anyone is stupid enough to attack me, I'll kick his ass before I send him to his grave." But his friend Dante forces him, saying, "My dear, men shouldn't chatter so much." "Hey man, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? I'm tough and I can do anything and you know it." "It's obvious, you idiot," Dante replied. Bates gets even angrier and says, "Who do you mean by that? Are you joking? Take that back or I'll smack you a couple of times across the face. I'll mess you up." At that moment, Rin interrupts them, saying, "Welcome. Come on, Your Grace Bishop Dante, come this way. I'll be the one to guard you, and I'll take very good care of you." Tao is heard saying, "Oh Lord, I hope I get to guard someone who looks good." The commander points her to the bald man. She says, "No way, man. I want a handsome one." "Oh well, maybe next time will be better." She takes him, clearly annoyed. He says to her, "How dare you treat me like that? You should have a better attitude. You animal!" As for Rosales, it seems he will be with Babylon. "But you are very arrogant." After that, our friend from the group told them, "Let's go, sweethearts." A bishop noticed something in her hand and asked, "What's that in your hand?" She replied, "Don't worry, it's just a cold drink." They then move on. The next morning, we see everyone in the church. We see the president and his son talking. The son says, "The Pope will arrive soon." The father replies, "Ah, he will be gracing us. It's been a very long time since I saw Gaetan. I knew him long before I became king." The boy, who seems clever, thinks the idea of separating them like this should eliminate any chance of assassinating the Pope. He hopes that no unexpected events occur. At that moment, they finally arrive, and the son goes to welcome them. Yes, it's Albert. The father comes out quickly, very happy, and welcomes Gaetan. "Thank God for your safe arrival. It's been a while, man. I haven't seen you in over 20 years. Imagine, I was so looking forward to meeting you today. Let's not stay outside for too long. Let's go straight inside because of this winter." Albert was standing above, thinking, "I wonder what will happen. Will things go as we want?" He then remembers the threatening note his father had. He asked him, "Father, does anything come to mind?" The leader, or the king, told him, "I understand the situation perfectly. I must cancel the festival of the Advent immediately. As for you, Albert, you will be responsible for continuing the investigation. You can coordinate the security arrangements as you wish during the event." We return to the present and he thinks, what are we going to do now? And how might things turn out? Maybe nothing will happen. After that, We see Sylvia and the person with her. Sylvia says, "This girl looks very smart and understands everything." She then remembers what happened with her and thinks she might be very close to the leader. But I have a curiosity because things are not stable at all, and I don't know what's outside. Even the weather is not promising at all. And then, in the church, the sounds of very loud drums begin. People think the festival has started. But this is not the show the church was expecting. Albert feels that something is strange, but he doesn't know what it is. Suddenly, behind the church, this huge monster appears and screams very loudly. Suddenly, the lights in the church go out. Everyone gets worried and doesn't know what is happening. The guards ask those present to remain calm until they know what is happening outside, as something is going on out there. Pope Gaetan says that this is the gate of hell, and that sound was the sound of it opening. He had hoped the monk would have a front seat to watch this show. After that, we go back in time many years, as Gaetan remembers when he was sitting in his house and one of the bishops knocked on his door. When he opens it, they apologize for the disturbance at such a difficult time. But they are thinking of nominating him to be the next pope. If he agrees, he will undergo the rituals of assuming the papacy. Gaetan agrees to this, and then meets with them in the church for the rituals to begin. Among these rituals is bathing in the Pluma Maxima. If he can endure it while maintaining a pure heart, then he is undoubtedly a saint and deserves to be the pope. He told them that he had done nothing wrong, which is why he became the pope. No one believed that his soul was devoid of even the smallest speck of evil, but that is what happened, and at that moment he became the next pope. And something was revealed to him at that moment, that the black, accidental feeling he felt defiling him from within was more evil than any evil known to mankind, and that no ray of light could ever reach it. His faith in that abyss became entrenched until it reached its depths. Then we return to reality, where Pope Gaetan tells Charles that things seem chaotic outside. His original plan was for a chimera to appear from under this church, but Albert had already dismantled that facility. However, this poses no problem, as his forces will activate this abat, just as the waves of the sea do. After that, the scene shifts to a city street, where people are surprised by a large gap in it. No one knows what it is or how deep it is. Suddenly, many monsters emerge from it, attacking all the people. Then we return to the church, where Albert is shocked by what is happening. The person they were protecting was the person they should have been targeting, and his father was the one they were supposed to protect. Pope Gaetan tells him that he will be next, as he is the heir to King Charles's administration. And although, frankly, he intends to eliminate everyone who abides by the laws of the state, everything that people consider right is to him wrong. Murder and theft, none of it matters if the intention behind it is pure. After that, Mr. Gabron appears to fight Pope Gaetan. This is the first time they have met. At that moment, Albert thinks to himself about what he will do. He might be able to restrain him with this kind of help. There is one enemy, and the Pope is there. Can he handle this without harming his father or the guards? After that, Pope Gaetan turns into a monster and carries Charles and his son, Albert. Everyone is shocked. Then they called for the soldiers to arrest him. Charles tells Gaetan that when he saw those descriptions, he remembered his own appearance when he was young. He imagined what his son would have looked like if he were alive, and wondered how everything that happened could have changed him to this degree. Gaetan speaks, saying, "These will be your last words," and then begins to choke the king. Everyone fears for him. The king then speaks to Mr. Gabron, asking him to forget about him and save Albert. "And tell my children I'm sorry I couldn't be there to watch them grow up." Gaetan tells them not to worry, because the entire royal family will be sent to heaven, and you will be able to enjoy the performance of your children's lovely music from there. Gaetan then points his sword at Albert, but Mr. Gabron uses his power and hides everyone. Gaetan is astonished. Then Mr. Gabron said, "After I left the committee without permission, this is who I serve from the mortal world." When Gaetan sees him, he is very surprised and afraid. He remembers a day when Lloyd, the boy who suddenly appeared behind him, passed by him. The chill he gave me, I had ignored it. Is it possible I made such a stunning miscalculation? As a human, I can reach the heavens. So I would have raised my own banner of rebellion by eliminating the state or destroying the father of the country. I would have prevented any reason for a dissent in an attempt to judge him. I was attached to that slight hope for a long, long time. He then speaks to Lloyd, saying, "I am so grateful for your death. With it, my descent into the abyss will be complete. Someone who can give me this feeling descends to me, accompanied by Mr. Gabron in his service." Lloyd says to him, "I'm just a prince, the seventh one at that." The scene shifts, and we see everyone. Albert asks Diane, "Is this Saloum Castle?" Diane tells him he doesn't know anything, and that it might be related to the chaos in the streets. Albert then tells him, "I need your help immediately." After that, he speaks with his father, saying, "The enemy can change his shape whenever he wants. That's why I'm sure he was disguised as His Holiness." His father replies, "You're right. They must be imposters. Inform all the soldiers in the castle. Our enemy has occupied the Cathedral of Din. Defend our citizens no matter the cost." We return to Lloyd with Gaetan. Lloyd says, "Seeing you in person has clarified things. It's clear how little I understand. The way he controls his mana, condensing it to hide his presence. He's consuming a huge amount of mana with every passing second. You have a talent for hiding your presence, just like we do." Then Grimm arrives and tells Lloyd that Aicher and Princess Saria are fine. Lloyd says to her, "I want you both to help the people fighting in the city. There are rampaging chimeras in far greater numbers than I expected, and I will be completely busy with this person. Mr. Gabron asks him to leave it to him, saying, "This matter is personal for me." Lloyd refuses, saying, "You can't defeat him. He is a very strong person." Grimm then remembers a conversation with Lloyd, saying, "Couldn't you have instantly teleported the mysterious golem by detecting its mana?" Lloyd told her, "Not in the short time between our encounters. Besides, his mana gave off the faintest presence. Seeing that is probably the same thing I do. He hides it." We return to the present time, and Grimm thinks to herself, he is definitely suppressing his mana. He might be on the same level as a demon, perhaps even a demon lord. I will have to respond. She then says to Lloyd, "You're proceeding with such insane nonsense, like fighting without a barrier. If you leave, then..." Gaetan uses his magic and sets off an explosion, but Lloyd stops him and attacks, hitting him with numerous blows. Lloyd uses the heptagram and strikes Gaetan with it. Then he says to him, "There are many things I want to discuss with you, but before that, there is something I wanted to tell you personally. You have crossed the line." And that is how today's episode of this anime ends. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all that is new. The anime episode begins with fires blazing in a town, its residents running in fear from numerous monsters. One of the monsters attempts to attack a man, but Galilea saves him, telling him to get into an enclosed space as quickly as possible. A bishop then speaks with Galilea, telling her this is worse than their worst-case scenario. Galilea replies that they had fully expected it because Prince Lloyd had told them everything. After that, the scene shifts to Lloyd and his friends. Lloyd asks Saria if he can participate with her in the upcoming chant, as he wishes to sing a song here in the church. His brother Albert responds that this is strange and randomly sentimental, especially since they are in the middle of a very important discussion about protecting the king. Lloyd tells him that everything will be fine, and there will be no attack or assassination. Since he can't contribute to guarding people, he might as well sing with Saria. Albert thinks for a moment that Lloyd's words are correct, and that it might be safer for Lloyd to remain in the cathedral. Later, Grimm speaks with Lloyd and asks him what he is trying to do with such nonsense. Lloyd replies that he believes the Pope himself is the mastermind, which is the basis of his deductions. He likely has a lot of free time, whereas it takes a lot of time and money to build a shop. Galilea tells him that this is a very primitive deduction. Lloyd retorts that he will wait here during the Great Field Festival until the trouble starts, and that they should rest while they can. He tries to leave, but Saria stops him and asks him to practice the chant. We return once again to the battle between the bishops and the monsters. All the bishops know that Prince Lloyd will do something about the mastermind behind all this, so all they have to do is protect the city with all their might. It's also mentioned that Lloyd managed to strike Gaetan. Grimm then asks Jiril to get rid of the Chimera faster, because the quicker they do, the sooner they can support Prince Lloyd. Jiril questions whether the very strong Prince Lloyd truly needs their help. Grimm replies that it's natural for him to be this fierce. He has been angry all this time about what happened before, and recently, people have come to represent the possibility of magic in Lloyd's eyes after what he witnessed. Jiril responds that this means there's no need to worry. Grimm objects, saying that if something happens, it will be the opposite of what he said. This Pope Gaetan also represents that possibility, and they must kill the Chimera and return quickly. We then go back to Lloyd with Gaetan. Gaetan tells him that the attack has made something clear to him. He no longer cares about Charles or Jiril, and that if he kills Lloyd, he will have completely fallen into his obsession. Lloyd tells him he is wrong about everything and challenges him to come at him. After that, a crow flies over the city. Babylon understands that these are Crow's ravens, and seeing it confirms that the Pope is the mastermind behind it all. Bishop Dante then asks all citizens to hide inside the cathedral. Ren looks at him suspiciously, as this doesn't confirm that the rest of the bishops are all innocent. Some of them might be complicit with the Pope. She suspects Bishop Dante because he has a mark on his face that reminds her of the Chimera. At that moment, a monster tries to attack her, but Bishop Yatro saves her. Ren thanks him for his help, then becomes very tense and uses her power to strike him, after which she apologizes for what she did. The scene then moves to the cathedral where the people have gathered. Bishop Anastasia tries to burn the cathedral down, but Talia catches her in the act. Bishop Anastasia tells Talia that she was hoping to cut off her head during the chaos. Talia replies that it is unbecoming of a bishop like her to carry such things. The bishop responds that this is why she is submitting her resignation. We return once again to the monsters in the city streets as they close in on the remaining bishops. It's clear that the monster in the center possesses a large amount of mana. That monster tells them its name is Grimoire, and everyone is shocked to hear it. Bishop Ganmo says that this is the legendary demon who wreaked havoc in the kingdom of Saloum long ago before being sealed. When he was a child, parents would scold their children by saying that Grimoire would come for them if they misbehaved. But now, he has broken the seal, and if they misbehave, he will kill them. The monster then speaks, declaring that it is here, in the kingdom that dared to imprison it, and it will take revenge on them all. Then we see Crow and Bats fleeing from the monsters chasing them. Bats tells him that he doesn't mind being a distraction, but asks what their next move is supposed to be. Crow ignores him, thinking about the church and whether it will be okay without them. Bats tells him that the church has that old woman, Militia, to take care of it, and she'll be fine. She may not seem like much, but she's very good at what she does. though not as impressive as him, the great bats. Crow doesn't answer him. He's thinking that the messenger crows are also acting strangely, especially the ones in the center of town. Something else is going on here, but he doesn't know what it is. He then runs off quickly, leaving Bats behind, wanting to find out what is happening. Afterward, he stands on a tall building and is shocked by what he sees. Bats catches up to him, and when he looks ahead, he is also shocked. They find a massive black dragon, a monster from the underworld and part of the Pope's forces, ranked SS. At that moment, Crow doesn't think twice. He jumps to face the dragon. Bats is stunned by his action. He's going to face that monster alone without hesitation. He then remembers Dante's words that men shouldn't chatter much, as communication should be shown through their backs. Bats decides to go with Crow to face the dragon, wanting to take another step towards the title of Great Bishop. After that, we go to Tao with Bishops Omaki and Akamaki. At that moment, Shakira, one of the Pope's A-rank forces, appears. Shakira strikes Tao with a very powerful blow, throwing her to the ground. The two bishops are terrified of her because she is so strong. They call out to Tao to ask if she is okay. Shakira answers them, saying that her Rakakin kills with a single blow, so there's no need to call for her. She then asks them why they have the same face, as it makes things very tiring for her, but she will kill them both at the same time. Suddenly, Tao awakens. Shakira is astonished, saying, "Impossible! You should be dead! Without the ability to break your fall, your brain should have been destroyed." Tao explains that she did break her fall at the last moment. "I happened to step on a fragile-looking arm, so I tore it off and used it as a support." Shakira replies, "You should have been watching your life flash before your eyes." Tao interrupts her, saying, "Actually, my life did flash before my eyes, and it reminded me of something. Rakakin, Fist of the Falling Flowers, a phantom martial arts style that disappeared within a single generation without any other followers. I believe the ghost of Chakra, the founder of the Rakakin style, is inside this chimera." Shakira becomes enraged, saying, "My Rakakin has been perfected after I gained this chimera body. Superhuman reflexes are controlled by 6 eyes, which no human can match. Grappling techniques have become possible with 6 arms, and my instantaneous strikes leave no room to break your fall." Tao tells her, "I have learned and trained to the point of shedding tears of blood. I did that to become famous. Look at what that did to your face. And you want to convince me it was for no reason? It's impossible for me to lose to you, not after you've abandoned your humanity." Shakira angrily retorts, "I chose to be a chimera, instead of a human to possess a superhuman body that doesn't age. This is the clearly logical choice. And you say I've abandoned something? You, a little girl who has lived for only a few decades." Tao uses her power, then attacks her, striking her across the face. The impact was so severe that her awareness snapped back to the present. She thinks, "My fist of 100 flowers flies fiercely like a stormy wind, but the Rakakin will not fall. I will never be defeated." Tao hits her with another blow, and she falls to the ground. The two bishops rejoice greatly. Akamaki speaks, "Clearly, that was no easy victory. Your limbs were torn every time she caught you. Again and again, you tore victory from the jaws of defeat against a random monster made of a mixture of stolen powers. Your perseverance achieved this victory. This was a victory for the human body." Shakira speaks again, and Tao is surprised, saying, "You're still trying to fight me off, but in the end, I won, and you didn't give up. I see you as a human and a very gallant one." Finally, Shakira bids farewell to life with moving words, and then she dies. After that, the scene shifts. Talia says to Galilia that her power has no effect on them at all. He replies that they are essentially flesh puppets, likely insensitive to pain. He adds, "Furthermore, the goat-headed one is one of those annoying types who regenerate themselves with mana. His sorcery is very powerful." He tells the other bishops to go and maintain the safety of the church. Talia assists him in the attack, saying, "I will look for an opening, then I will restrain them with my spider webs." Grimoire replies, "Do you think that will work on me once you restrain me?" Talia asks Grimoire, "Are you the real one or a fake?" Grimoire answers that the ancient sorcery he possesses is extremely powerful. Then a boy arrives and smashes Grimoire's head, shocking everyone. He uses his power and kills him, saying, "This isn't even a demon on the inside." He turns to Galilia, instructing him, "Focus on the 6 openings spread throughout the town." The small monster then speaks, saying, "In reality, you were a sorcerer who studied ancient magic, and that's how you became a follower of Grimoire." Thus ends today's episode of this anime. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all that is new. Our episode begins with a great battle between Lloyd and a veteran demonic goblin foe. It was a fight in the sky, above the skyscrapers. "Come on, you idiot, show me what you've got," Lloyd says. The goblin then uses a diverse formation of some kind, whose nature we don't yet know. From there, we move directly to the ground, where the rest of the group is fighting, and they easily cut off the man's head. When we look at the sidewalk, we see many arms, heads, and bodies thrown on the ground. Perhaps this creature regenerates over and over. And indeed, he regenerates, but on top of a pig's head. "Pigs are many now," he says. "I won't die again. I'll finish you all off, you fools." He then uses his powerful pig's punch and levels Babylon to the ground, taking him from house to house. Babylon is badly injured. The pig tries to land the final blow, but "Before you kill me, you idiot," Babylon says, "I want to know why you hate humans so much. I want to know your reasoning." The pig asks, "Are you that interested in my history?" "Yes, of course," he says. "Tell us about it. We are bishops, and part of our job is to provide correct guidance to lost lambs." "Okay," the pig says. "It all started a few years ago. I was created by the great alchemist." "Yes, my friends. It's that big-hailed fool you see in front of you now, chopping him into small pieces as he eats the pork. But my friends, you shouldn't do this, because pork contains deadly things and fatal diseases. But we are telling the story as it is." The pig continues his story and says, "I was very happy about my ability to help people who ate pork from my body because my body regenerated constantly. My creator was also very happy until that moment came. I started wandering and feeding my meat to humans, but unfortunately they all vomited and spit in my face. After the 100th spit, during that period, people were spreading rumors about the monstrous man-pig. That's when I realized something, that I taste bad, and all that pork is not suitable for human consumption, or even for animals. I cried so much that flies fled from my smell. While I was drowning in despair, I met my master. He talked to me and told me that my power shouldn't be used for humans. It's a weapon that should be used against the people who treated me like livestock. Do you intend to let their selfish goals stand? You must avenge yourself, my dear." We return to reality again, and the pig continues his speech. "I decided to take revenge on all of humanity who dared to say that I tasted bad." While telling his story, Babylon also talks about his life. "I changed my job and found that my guild was in distress, so now I'm in trouble. In those days, I felt like I was living on the edge all the time. I roamed the forest looking for food, spending the little money we had on our needs, searching everywhere for work to earn some money for us to buy food. If I had met you back then, I probably would have hugged you." The pig gets angry and says, "Don't be stupid. You're only saying that because you don't know how bad I taste." But Babylon was smart, and he said, "I will make you the pork dish the whole world will love." The pig rejoices at these words. Babylon tells him that he will make him the pork dish that the whole world will love. Then, they go to Babylon's kitchen with Bishop Thor and Roseblaze, where everyone thinks about how to make this pig's meat delicious, but they lose hope and can't think of anything. They cannot defeat their opponent physically, and the only option is to cook him to become delicious. So he changes his way of thinking. He asks Rosebells, how is it possible to cook delicious food with that purple aura on the meat? But their job is to eat the dish made from that meat with all their might. They will act as taste testers. At that moment, Babylon thinks hard about what to do, and the pig also thinks hard, as he doesn't know what to do or what a cook with Babylon's skills can do. Babylon asks him to relax. He already knows how to deal with this tough mass. They can't make it tender, but they need to take the opposite approach. Then he starts caressing the piece of meat to make it tender, and everyone is shocked by this method. Babylon realized that the trick was to make the meat taste bad, not good. He apologized to the pig for attacking it without understanding. He then cooked the meat, but no one could understand what he was doing. Everyone was waiting to taste it, and the pig was still thinking about its lack of appetizing flavor. It recalled a chef who had tried to cook its meat and get rid of the smell, but the odor was so foul it was enough to shut down a restaurant. No seasoning or chef was able to overcome it. After a while, Babylon finished preparing the meal and named the dish tonkatsu. When Rosebells and Thor looked at the dish, it looked delicious, and they decided to eat it. They told the pig that if they could swallow it without vomiting, it would reconsider its revenge on humanity. Thor asked Rosebells to swallow the piece of meat without chewing, as both were very afraid of the taste. The moment the crust broke, the stench would pour out. They counted to 3 and quickly ate the piece of meat. But when they ate it, they found it delicious and couldn't stop chewing. They were overjoyed, but the pig couldn't believe what had happened. They told him it was very delicious and that every bite stimulated more flavors to come out of the meat. Babylon was then asked what exactly he had done. He told them that during the preparation phase, he had used one of his spells on the piece of meat. They were very impressed with his power and told him that his sorcery was brilliant. He told them that he had simply shone a glimmer of light on it and told the monster that he was a good person, a disaster for others, while despair hovered over him from all sides. He was a very good person. At that moment, the smell of this food went outside the house, and all the citizens stood in front of Babylon's house, amazed by the smell of the food. The children thanked them for the food, and the pig asked them to take some to the orphanage. Rose thought to herself, the meat is so delicious, I will start selling this meat under the Rosebells brand. I will solve the disaster of famine around the world and gain many new believers. Then Rose told Babylon that he would take care of this pig. The pig came and spoke to Babylon, saying, I want you to cleanse me. But Rose intervened in the conversation, saying that he had a feeling that its regeneration was linked to its anger and hatred. If you cleanse it, you might become a normal pig. This would be wasteful, the pig told him. I won't be unlimited anymore. This might make me enough for just one dish, but I want to be eaten at my most delicious state. I want to live for others. I won't save everyone in the world from hunger, but I will enter the matter of the only person who will understand me." Then the pig shrank. Babylon said, "I think it's over now. I have made a promise after all." The pig went toward the fire, but Babylon grabbed it, saying, "I can't eat you." The scene then shifts to Silva and Anastasia as they fight each other, but each one parries the other's blow. Anastasia says, "The Kubo should be able to do more than chop candlesticks, but with what's in your hands, it can never be as easy as sorcery. The mysterious priest is at a much higher point than I can reach," Silva tells her. "Despite being a bishop, your sword skills live up to your reputation. I can't deny my curiosity about knowing this master of yours whom you speak so highly of." Anastasia tells Silva that her reputation in combat precedes her. "I heard about you leaving the field when you became an A-rank adventurer. What, you chose to be a maid instead?" Silva told her. "Because I met a person I was destined to stand by." Anastasia gets angry at her answer, saying, "None of us should lose for the sake of those we serve." Anastasia uses her power and activates a barrier and other things like fog and a circle of rainbow-colored giants. Silva is amazed by what she is doing, saying, "It's just a phenomenon that occurs at high altitudes, an interaction of light and shadow." She attacks her with several attacks, but Silva dodges them, saying, "There are so many attacks coming at me. This doesn't give me time to focus on defense, and the candlestick won't last long." Anastasia won't leave any openings. She is determined to wait for my weapon to be exhausted and tired, but this will be when she reveals herself. It will be decided in the blink of an eye. Anastasius attacks her, but she counters, saying to herself, "I am so proud and beautiful in the service of my master. She is a loyal maid like no other. You are so impressive in my eyes, while I am ugly and fake." Then she remembers when she was a child with this man, who told her, "We will get delicious food to eat." Then this man appears, saying, "I don't hate you. If you want to come back, this is your only chance." "That time is long gone," Anastasia says. "I'll stay by your side, even if it's not what you want. And the candlestick in Silva's hand can now function as a metal staff. I will honor you at least by ending your life myself." Anastasia attacks Silva, but as she does, she sees a sword in Silva's hand and is shocked. Silva begins to attack her. Anastasia uses her power but can't counter it, so Silva attacks her with her power and creates a barrier between them. Anastasia falls to the ground and the sword disappears from Silva's hand. Anastasia asks her, "Why didn't you kill me?" "I modified this kubu so it has a broad edge." Silva replies, "I didn't know you could use this divine sorcery. It was a gift from my master." Silva remembers when she was with Lloyd and asks him, "What is this glass ball?" He tells her that it carries the kubo's mana sigil. "Just squeeze it and transfer your mana, and it will take the shape of a kubo as you desire." She tells him that she is happy about that, but is not very confident about her mana. "I intended to bring a sword with me," Lloyd replied. "There's a chance that the church might confiscate any weapon you try to bring." Then we return to reality, and she says that her master is wise, amazing, and funny, but he also makes mistakes sometimes and has those amazing expressions when I scold him. He is not without secrets, yet I am ready to wait until he is ready to share them with me. Then Anastasia gets up and loses control, falling to the ground. She says, "It's impossible for me to even dream of scolding my master, yet that might be what a person longs for, someone to stop him." Then she cries and says, "But it can't be me. My voice can't reach him, like a cold, rainy night with no trace of starlight." This is what his heart has turned into since that day. "All I can do is serve as a hazy moon," Silva says. "As a simple maid, I have no right to judge either of you, but I hope he hears that. Maybe by the end of this battle, the voice of one will reach my master's ears." And so, today's episode of this anime ends. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. The anime episode begins with Shiro escorting Ishir and Saria to a remote location so they can perform a chant, after having seen what was happening in the village. Then we see Bats fighting a dragon because it had struck Crow and tried to harm the young boy. Bats runs toward the child to save him from the dragon. The scene shifts to Ren, who is trying to fight off a horde of monsters. She asks Dante to help her, as more and more are coming, but Dante doesn't answer. Ren speaks to herself, saying she doubts him. Perhaps his refusal to help is because he is a disguised enemy, or maybe he is simply working for himself. Afterward, Bishop Bataro apologizes to her, saying he wanted to offer more help, but couldn't. Dante then speaks to Ren, asking if she knows who is responsible for this chaos and what she thinks about it. Ren falls silent for a moment, not knowing how to answer him. After that, we move to Lloyd with Gitan, who is trying to strike him. Lloyd manages to create a barrier between them, but Gitan is able to destroy it. At that moment, Lloyd understands that Gitan's Kobo is a summoning-type spell with the attributes of purification sorcery. The problem is that this purification has nothing to do with what he and the saints understand as evil. Rather, it is what Gitan decides is evil that gets purified. For example, if he launches a fireball, which normally isn't affected by purification, and Gitan decides it is evil, it becomes so and is purified. The symbols he launches are likely the indicators for this. Lloyd wonders what would happen if he attacked with the symbols themselves. The weaknesses, however, are clear. It takes a few seconds to modify the symbols, and he cannot create a single symbol that affects all sorcery completely. If he could, Lloyd wouldn't have needed to modify them to affect flames, barriers, and sorcery specifically. It seems all the sorcery symbols have been converted. Does this mean he can only use 3 types at once? The Chimera's body was impressive enough, yet he put great effort into modifying the law and converting the mana signature of the saints. We return once again to Bats, who tells a young boy to go to the shelter alone because he has work to do. He reassures him that he will find his mother right away, as he can't leave to save his friend Goran. He runs at the dragon in a rage to strike it, but he can't. He rushes to Crow to save him from the dragon, speaking to him as he weeps, begging him not to die. They will take him back to the church for treatment, but right now, he doesn't know what to do. This dragon is enormous and far beyond his limits, but Bats musters his strength and rises to strike the dragon, only for the dragon to quickly swat him with its hand. Bats falls to the ground, unable to move, but he does not give up. He wants to save his friend Crow, even though they only met tonight. At that moment, Tao and Thalia arrive to save them. They land a powerful blow on the dragon, and with them are Bishops Akamaki and Umaki, who go to treat Crow, as he bore the brunt of the dragon's powerful attacks and couldn't withstand them any longer. Tao and Thalia discuss how to begin their attack on the dragon. One would target its face, the other its rear. They ultimately agree to attack its face, but they are unable to do so as it is too strong. It manages to wound Tao's hands, and Thalia fears for her. But Tao tells her she's fine and to stay focused. If they can't do this, everything will be for naught. At that moment, the bishops find they cannot heal Crow at all. Bats is terrified. He can neither heal his friend nor stop this damned dragon. The dragon speaks, saying, "It was clear to me from the moment of my birth. The fact that I was a slave. My lot in life was to fly while this man was on my back. I was as loyal as a dog, so as not to arouse his wrath, and I flew with all my heart and soul. After a very long journey over the great sea, my master acquired the greatest power in the world. I was very proud and terrified at the same time. No one could stop him anymore. Then his prince comes to him saying, 'I believe I am finished with this dragon now.' Afterward, we see the dragon lying on the ground, injured everywhere. Then, Bishop Dante appears, saying to Bishop Anastasia, 'I believe roundabout ways can be fruitful from time to time. How long has the island of Lordust been a den for demons?' Bishop Anastasia tells him that a true monster resides in that palace. Dante replies, 'Likely the noble class of the demon world, who are called demon lords. What do you think would happen if I used intense holy light on a demon lord?' Bishop Anastasia responds, 'The light of purification has already shown an effect on his kind. It would likely cause him physical harm.' Dante then says, 'But what about his mind? Could it become clean?' The answer is no. There is nothing to purify. His heart, meaning it is free of any pollution. The hearts of beasts are pure. They do not mean harm when they kill, or when they destroy, or even when they abandon their comrades.' The dragon then speaks, 'Somehow I realized that this would be my next master.' After that, we see the dragon with Bishop Dante, who tells it, 'Use the chimera body. It will suit you. You will harness my wish to pursue your true nature.' The dragon says, 'This is why I followed him. He replaced more than half of my body with different parts, without any change to my beastly mentality. He can speak of my true nature or freedom.' Dante tells him, 'There was no other way. I understand. If you have no shelter, you can come with me. I will bring you to a very great event, although I haven't planned beyond that. I am lost myself, you see.' We return once more to the battle. Tao says, 'He had giant hands implanted in him. This dragon is a chimera too. We can't assume anything.' It then attacks them, but her friend saves her and strikes the dragon, finally injuring it. The dragon speaks. 'They are cute and very amusing, all of you, with the facial expressions you show.' Bat screams for them to save Crow by any means necessary. Bishop Utamaki goes and begs Bats to treat his wounds because they are very severe. Suddenly, they notice the dragon is aiming for the shelter. They rush over, but the dragon strikes them, and they can do nothing. The dragon says, 'You are happy to see them like this, while the very thought of it, I feel the ecstasy of dominance.' Suddenly, the adventurer Grim appears, and they are all shocked. He attacks the dragon, and it falls to the ground. Then, Jermel arrives and speaks to them. 'You have done well, bishops. We will take it from here. Focus on healing this one.' Grim says, 'Make sure you save him. Crow is part of the crew.' Grim speaks to the dragon. 'You've gone too far.' Tao admits he has a toxic aura around him, but he has 2 horns. We then learn that Jermel had told him not to appear in that form, because others would think he was a monster or a chimera. He says he changed his form as he was told, but it's embarrassing to resemble humans. He attacks the dragon with one leg and breaks its arm. He then says, 'We are on your side. Crow will be fine. Jermel will save him.' After that, we see Jermel healing Crow, saying, 'Even one death in this battle would give me a reason to take my own life.' The scene shifts to Grim calling out to Tao. She asks him how he knows her name. He asks her, 'There are no more civilians here, right?' Suddenly, the dragon reappears. Grim strikes it with several blows to its body. The dragon tries to block the attacks but cannot. Grim tells it, 'You're not a punching bag. Stop rolling around like that.' It's impossible for a black dragon from hell to make its way to the human world on its own. He knows it was a pampered dragon that was abandoned. 'You're a pathetic little brat,' he says, 'but I hoped you weren't relying on my pity. Survival of the fittest. That's how things work in hell. You were trying to play by those rules in this place to cause chaos in my land. No dignity, nothing. Just a mischievous pup that loses control after its chain is undone.' He orders it to go back home, a humiliated coward. The dragon becomes enraged that a child like this is teaching him how to live as a dragon. Even now, he's giving me time I can use to escape, it thinks, thanking him. But I can't ignore the massive amount of emotions welling up inside me. It tells him it will live as a dragon and perhaps die as one, filled not with fear or joy, but with pride after living all these long years. Then, Grim uses the power of the black flash pistol and attacks the dragon. As the dragon disappears, it remembers its conversation with Gitan, who told them about a magic sphere. If you swallow it, your rotting bodies will turn to dust. Your souls will be purified. Use it if you are tortured in an unbearable way, or if you overcome your long-held feelings for the world and wish to rest in peace. And do not consider this a betrayal to me. I am merely using you. I do not consider you comrades. We return to the dragon as it disappears completely. Grim has absorbed the dust that came from it. He has now managed to absorb a large amount of mana since the seal was broken, and can now face a demon lord. But he is still a far cry from that naughty kid above the clouds. Then Jermel appears and apologizes for being late. Grim asks him about Crow's condition. He tells him he'll be fine, that the dark part has passed. Jermel and Grim revert to their natural forms after finishing off the dragon, and decide to ascend above the clouds to complete their final battle. And so, today's episode ends. If you like the video, press like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all our new updates. Our episode begins with Lloyd, who is furious. He performs his great hymn of glory, vanquishing the monster and all other beasts, turning them to ash. The scene then shifts to the sky, where Gitan says, "It seems my pawns have been exhausted." Lloyd tries to make him stop, but to no avail. Gitan then activates the 10 commandments and sends 10 of his offspring, extremely powerful monsters, to Earth. Everyone is shocked as these 10 orbs descend. As people stand before them, one hatches, revealing a very powerful monster, an S-rank chimera. We return to Gitan, who says, "I alone am more than enough to annihilate this country." Lloyd thinks to himself, "They're high above the clouds. I've caught the mana of those eggs he released. Now is the time to intercept with Shadow Wolf." But Gitan prevents him from doing so and begins his attack, saying, "It seems your method of using instant teleportation offensively requires a great deal of focus, making it harder to hit moving targets. I won't allow you to interfere." We see Lloyd dodging the attacks very slowly. Down on the ground, the Chimera has attacked Galileo, the giant young man. The monster summons many of its subordinate creatures. Galileo tells Talia to run, as this monster is different from the others. We see another monster in the church. People are trying to get out and escape quickly. Katarina tells them, "You can't leave! There are still many of these monsters out there." Suddenly, the monster is standing right behind her. A group of young men quickly grab it, telling her, "Get out of here, quickly! We'll handle this thing!" But she stands there frozen and crying in fear. All the people are terrified. They had thought the church was safe, but now they are completely exhausted. We go back up above the clouds, where Lloyd is only dodging every blow. Looking back at the ground, the fighters stand before the monster, utterly dismayed. They are exhausted and don't know what to do against these incredibly powerful creatures. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a girl, Aisher, who is playing a very beautiful piece of music with a wonderful voice. The sound spreads throughout the entire city, and everyone hears it. Lloyd says, "This is the only kobo that Aisher can create. Its offensive capability is virtually zero. Its effect is amplification. It's merely a way to enhance the range of a sound. But Aisher's singing voice can soothe people's anxiety, bolster their courage, and for a few moments, even reach the mindless chimeras and stop them in their tracks, with the exception of me." We see the monster Gitan and all the monsters on the ground unable to move. In this moment, Lloyd slashes the necks of all these beasts and prepares for his final round with Gitan. Down below, Dante wants to teleport elsewhere, terrified by the song. The Chimera's head had exploded just as the song began, and he doesn't know that Lloyd was the one who did it. He believes the song itself was responsible. Suddenly, the monster prepares to attack him. Rin warns him, and he notices it just in time, tearing it to shreds at the last second. Dante is amazed that the monster could still move. He then decides to head towards the girl who is singing. We ascend to the sky once again, as Gitan speaks. "In those days I was happy. My life was humble, and I had a family that accepted me for who I was without hesitation. I used to sing to my children. They were the most precious thing to me. Until one day someone came to encourage me. He had heard my singing every day from up high. He said my voice was hideous, and that I couldn't even hold a musical note." Gitan apologized to the man, who then told him, "Don't sing anymore. From now on, you will be able to use sorcery freely. I will grant you a personal license. You should consider it an honor." Gitan continues, "After I became a bishop, I was put to the test, and many began to belittle me. Someone told me, 'Come and try to purify me.' That kind of confrontation got on my nerves, so I used my kobo to crush those who started them. As for purification, I don't need to rely on it. I'm sure I can overcome these dark impulses." He continues his speech to Lloyd, saying, "O Za-Oritan, I have adopted a form that resembles you." Gitan remembers that he was his dearest friend, like a brother. They talked about everything and thought about the country's affairs, to the point that his friend told him, "You should become the king, the president of the country," and always encouraged him. We return to the present as he continues his story. Until that day happened, A malnourished girl was standing in front of my house. It was clear at a glance that she came from the slums. I invited her in, intending to feed her some of my wife's cooking. I thought she might become a good friend for my son. This girl, named Anastasia, muttered strange words. She said, "My father told me to keep watch outside." Her intention was perfectly clear. In that moment, my family was swimming in their own blood. Next to the bodies of my wife and son stood a man, ravenously devouring any food he could find. My mind went blank with rage. I killed him in a gruesome way, but afterwards I drowned in my own delusions and darkness. My behavior became very strange. Darkness was everywhere. After that, I was promoted leader, but I wasn't happy. The evil was inside me. Returning finally to the present, Lloyd has been listening to this whole pathetic story. Gatain finishes his speech, but Lloyd cuts him off. "Enough talk! What's with the long story? Can't you see the look on my face? Your story is depressing and long." Back on the ground, Babylon and his friends are listening to Aisha sing. Her beautiful voice echoes throughout the entire area. So beautiful that it seems to be killing the monsters. Back up in the sky, after Lloyd strikes Gatain with a very powerful blow, he cuts off the arm holding the sword. Gatain is astonished and says, "What is happening? He didn't even touch me. How could he cut off my arm before he even attacked?" Lloyd informs him that it is a new, highly advanced technique that no one else can use. "That's why you will never defeat me, no matter how strong you are." Then, he uses a water sphere and a fire sphere at the same time, hitting him with a powerful blow. After that, he delivers a crushing strike that might be the final one. Was he defeated, or is there more to come? Our episode begins with Lloyd using his immense power against Guetan, who was wreaking havoc across the land. Everyone cheers for him, but he is surprised to find that Guetan is not yet dead and is still alive. Guetan tells him, "While you were busy with your speech, I sent my camera crawling towards the source of the song that was disrupting me so much." Lloyd replies, "I know that, you fool. Did you really think I didn't notice?" Indeed, my friends, we see the cameras heading towards Shiro, but the girl's sweet and beautiful voice shatters them in a massive explosion, which causes a distortion in the sound. Then, Lloyd unleashes his 3 spells at once, and Gatain is shocked by this immense power, saying, "How can I stop these spells all at once? This will lead to my absolute defeat. I must not be captured. I would rather die in this moment, but I must come out honorably." He also clashes his 3 powers against Lloyd's, but from the scene, we know who will win and settle the battle. Yes, my friends, it's Lloyd. The scene shifts to the ground, where things were terrible, like catastrophic storms hitting the entire region. Everyone is scared. Everyone is terrified, saying, "What is this? Are these the horrors of Judgment Day we are in? Who will win and who will lose?" After that, Guetan remembers his son calling for his mother, telling her, "Father is back!" His wife is surprised as she thought he had lost his way home. His son asks her, "Can I sing with father?" She replies, "How about we all sing together?" At this, Guetan cries and says to himself, "This isn't fair. I shouldn't be doing this." He tells his son, "Your father is a bad singer." His son asks him, "Are you in pain? Do you feel lonely these days?" It was a time he spent rejecting his past, where he had felt great happiness, driven by a pure wish to deny that purity and innocence. His son is bewildered by his behavior. The child then sees his father crying and runs to hold him but cannot reach him. He then returns to reality, where he tries to strike Lloyd with his power but fails. Afterward, Guetan tries to hit Lloyd with his holy light power, but Lloyd is completely unaffected. Then, Lloyd uses an ice power that contains a cure for all wounds and spreads it over the entire area. Everyone is in a state of awe as this snow heals their wounds and completely purifies the place. We then see Guetan with Bishop Anastasia, regretful for what happened, but certain that the heavens will smile upon him until the day he dies. Then we see all the bishops regretting what their friend did. The war ends, and everyone apologizes to each other. We then transition to Lloyd after his fight with Guetan. Lloyd tells him he's still not sure if the purification affected him or if this was just his nature from the beginning. He could have forced the other bishops to go along with his plan if he wanted, so why didn't he? Guetan replies that he expected this great Advent festival to change many things, and that the absolute judges of justice he chose would either defeat him or be defeated by him. That was the purpose of the battle. Both sides had to be serious until the very end. Yet, in the end, the ones who stopped him were not the ones he expected. The person who stopped him wasn't a bishop. He was a 7th prince, and the other was a mere nun. He is certain her voice contains a blessing. Lloyd tells him he will explain why Isher became a nun, because she loves to sing. Singing is the one thing she excels at, and the church seemed like the best place to sing in front of many people, which is why Isher joined the clergy. He then recalls Isher's words when she said this great Advent festival was different from usual because it was revenge against that wicked priest, and if he showed up, she couldn't run away. Lloyd continues, telling him that instead of worrying about what is wrong and fallen for a change, he could think about what would make him happier, as he has spent his whole life living this way. Guetan replies that he doubts anyone else could get away with doing that. Lloyd then leaves him to return to his friends, telling him he will be waiting on Lord Ost Island. Guetan weeps over what has happened to him. Afterward, we learn of news that shook the city of Saloum. Guetan was killed as part of a large-scale terrorist attack carried out by an unknown group. His body was found in one of their underground labs. A man disguised as the Pope had infiltrated the Great Advent Festival to play the role of the incident's mastermind. And so, it was a rebellion against them, but the identity of the mysterious perpetrator remains unknown. Then we see Rose, very angry upon learning that Guetan's whereabouts are unknown, as if he were the one responsible. Thor tells him, "Take it easy, Rose. There are bishops who don't know the truth. All we have to do is keep our mouths shut, or the church's reputation will be negatively affected. People have started to question its teachings, and this could destroy the peace this nation enjoys." Rose tells him, "We cannot leave things as they are. The church needs a new leader to guide it. I humbly accept the position of Pope." The bishop replies, "This will not happen. There is someone better in mind who will have immense public support and great charisma." The scene shifts to Ganmo talking to a girl, asking her to take the qualifying exam for the position of Pope, because they want her to become the Pope. The girl screams at the top of her lungs. After that, the scene shifts to Shiro, talking to herself about how he, Lloyd, appears in her room often, and the fact that she won't tell anyone is convenient for him. Lloyd apologizes, saying he knocked, but she was having a fun time playing. He says there was going to be a massive attack at the Great Advent Festival. "I believe that you two continuing to sing would greatly influence the outcome. I wanted you to start playing when you felt the noise in the town became unbearable. I'll set things up for you. I told you this because if I told anyone else, they would have prevented it due to the risks." Shiro then says, "Did my performance live up to your expectations? We all know who we are, and that there are things we would die for. Things that cause obsession, that we cling to the point of heresy." Lloyd tells her, "Yes, it was the best performance ever." And so ends today's episode of this anime. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell icon to receive all our new content.